Here with Eye on Insurance Special on CNN IBN, our expert with us, Karthik Zaveri, Director, Transcend Consultancy. And moving on to other subject of importance, one of the most important issues if you are a parent, kids' education and planning for it for the future. That's where educational insurance comes in. And what are they? Well, Karthik, what are educational insurance and what purpose do they serve?
Well, educational insurance policies are an extension of the product portfolio of most insurance companies. There are two types of these policies. One is a unit-linked type of an education funding policy, and the other one is a traditional policy, which is incidentally the most expensive type of a money-back policy. And because it is labeled as education, we tend to be emotionally driven, and then as a result, we tend to invest in these policies. The kind of purpose that they serve is that they try and give you cash flows at various goals or various, let's say, intermediate points of your child's career. The question really to ask is, do you really need that money at that point of time? What if you need it before? What if you needed it afterwards? So in that sense, it's not the best fit, frankly.
Right. Your money gets locked in that scheme. And is there any other option? Let's take another query.
For securing my child's education, is there any better way than taking a children's education plan?
What happens really is one must look at how products will fit into your grand strategy rather than looking at products and fitting your strategy within those products. So what really happens is you could buy some shares, you could buy property, you could buy gold, you could buy anything that you really like, because the important thing is the rate of return that you need to generate, because you have a certain estimate of what your future expense is going to be. I need to go and provide for that amount of money at that point of time. So, for example, if you buy a portfolio of shares and label that portfolio as this is for my child's education funding, so be it. ULIP education plans obviously is the next best option.
So, right, educational insurance, not such a good idea. That's what Karthik is saying. A lot of people have also asked us whether there are any other tax benefits associated with taking children's education insurance. Karthik?
See, what happens in terms of taxes is this is pretty much in the same manner as how you pay your life insurance premiums. So whatever premiums you pay for your child's education policy or education funding policy, whatever the policy is, it's all going to be a part of the same Section 80C under which you get benefits up to the extent of 1 lakh from your income. So the tax benefit is pretty much the same as you would get on a standard insurance policy.
Okay. At this point, we have Srinivas M. joining us on the phone line from Hyderabad. He has 2 children and he's planning their education. Srinivas, go ahead. What's your question to Karthik?
Hi. I want to take 40 lakhs insurance cover. If I go to a term insurance plan, I have to pay around 20,000 plus premium per annum. Whereas if I go to HDFC Youngster, the ULIP plan, I have to pay just 8,000 rupees premium per annum. So in this case, which is better for me?
Okay. Now, what really happens is, where is it written that you will have to pay the premium only for 1 year? You will have to pay it for a number of years. Now, if you say that by paying a lakh of premium, you're going to be covered for 25 years for an insurance amount of almost 40 lakhs, then I don't think that's absolutely correct, because from your 1 lakh, basically the insurance company is going to take away about 60% of that money as the initial upfront load, which is 60,000 gone. From your remaining 40,000, I mean, if you look at that 40,000, which is going to provide you a cover of 40 lakhs, then that cover is going to remain for the next 2 or 3 years. And by the time all your units are going to be expired, because the way they provide insurance cover is by cancellation of units. Now, if that actually starts happening in about 2 or 3 years' time, you won't really have a cover because your policy itself will not be sustainable. I think you will have to pay regularly into that policy. Coming to term, on the other hand, whether you should buy a term or no, well, you know, nothing is in that sense free. I mean, there will be a cost attached to the whole thing. Over a period of time, to have the cover, to maintain the cover, you will have to pay the premium, ULIP or term, whichever way you look at it. The insurance premium will have to be paid.
Right. So much for educational insurance. Karthik, before we go into a break, I have a question for you myself. Some trivia, rather some gossip. Is it true that Jennifer Lopez insured a part of her body for $1 billion?
Yeah, that is... it's quite a possibility. I mean, we've heard about some years back Diego Maradona, the footballer who who got his thighs insured. So, I mean, it's up to a general insurance company,
Right.
and as long as they're willing to write the risk,
Right.
it's a possibility, yes.
With that, we go into a short break, but coming up next, health insurance. That's what coming up. Well, welcome back to our second episode of Eye on Insurance. In this segment, we will focus on medical insurance, and we have with us our insurance expert, Mr. Karthik Zaveri, joining us from Mumbai. Karthik, if you could take us through, what is the significance of a medical insurance first?
Well, medical insurance is a kind of an insurance policy which comes under the purview of general insurance, which is essentially a single-year contract. It's very simple to understand. You pay a certain amount of premium, and the insurance policy tends to cover you for a whole host of ailments and hospitalization, and some policies will cover you even for pre- and post-hospitalization. I think it's an essential requirement for everyone's portfolio to have some amount of medical cover, given that in our country we don't have so much of social security available to us. So I think a medical insurance for everybody is essential.
Essential there. Okay, Karthik, we have a viewer query. Let's listen in.
Do I need a medical insurance if I have a Mediclaim policy?
Okay. Basically, he needs a medical policy, so what should he do?
Well, if you say you have Mediclaim policy, then that's absolutely okay, because what you're talking, I'm understanding with the medical insurance, is you're talking about the riders that you get that are attachable to a basic insurance policy. The answer to that is no. If you have a Mediclaim policy which is adequately covered, let's say if you're under the age of about 45 or 50, and if you have a coverage of about 2.5, 3 lakhs, it's okay. If you're above that, you need a slightly higher coverage. But as long as you have a Mediclaim policy, there is no special requirement to get a medical insurance rider with an insurance policy.
Right. And Karthik, if you have serious ailments like cancer or AIDS, is it true that they are not covered?
Yeah, a lot of companies don't cover this, but what a lot of times happens is that over a period of time, companies keep revising and reviewing their rules. So as of now, there is no cover which is available for that. If you have it pre-existing, there's absolutely no chance you'll get it. And even once you have a policy, but there are a lot of exclusions in that. So if you did contract one of these things, high chance that you won't have it.
Right. On the other question, how much health insurance does one really need, Karthik?
Karma, this is very hard to answer, because we don't really know how your health is going to shape up. For example, you might actually land into a serious trouble or serious ailment, or, for example, you might not have anything. Very ballpark general figure, if you like, is if you're under about 40, 45 years of age, chances are if you are healthy and don't have any vices or anything of that sort, 2.5 lakh cover per person of the family should be adequate. Once you cross 45, 50, that's the time problems really start happening. So if you can afford it, of course, because there's a question of affordability here as well. If you can afford it, you can start with 3 lakhs, or you can, by the time you move to 45, 50, increase your cover. The premium will go up. But at the same time, in the earlier years, you don't really require it. But later years, yeah, you need to have a higher cover.
Right, and if a person is covered by an office insurance of about 2 lakhs, which he already has, and needs to go in for another personal insurance, is it advisable?
Okay, 2 things here. Look at the coverage that is available from the company. Normally, it will be under group medical insurance. I mean, that's a special policy floated by insurance companies, and they give it to companies for all employees to get covered under it. So if that is adequate with the same calculation that I gave you, under 40 years, about 2 to 2.5 lakhs is a good amount to have. So if your company is providing you 1.5 lakh, then of course there's a little gap there, so you should get the additional 1 lakh. If the cover is adequate, no need to get for extra covers.
Right, Karthik, at this point we have Mr. Bharti Vyas joining us from Hyderabad. Mr. Vyas, go ahead. What's your question?
Yes, I'm Vyas calling from Hyderabad. I'm 61 years old, and I have undergone heart bypass surgery in 1993. Am I qualified to get a medical insurance?
because this ailment has happened 13 years back, like you say, there is a chance that you will be considered. But there are two things there. Most private companies don't tend to insure above 60 years of age. So it will be company-specific decision. You will have to do a little bit of shopping here, I would say. You will have to ask a few agents of some companies because, like I said, one thing, the rules keep changing. Second, with your age, the possibility of getting a cover is less. The public health insurance companies, or that's the general insurance companies, they cover up to age of 80. So there is a possibility you will be able to get a Mediclaim cover with a public insurer, that is a national insurer, rather than a private insurer.
Well, that's it on Eye on Insurance. And Mr. Karthik Zaveri, thanks so much for joining us and taking us through with your valuable insights on insurance. We sure hope this has been informative and useful. Do keep sending in your queries and feedback to www.ibnlive.com. We assure you we'll keep an eye on them. From everybody at IBN Money, bye for now and happy investing.